A very good morning and welcome to this special edition of A View from the House. My name is Asanda Mbeche and we're coming to you live from the Cape Town International Convention Centre, the venue of this year's Women's Parliament.
And a warm welcome from me as well. I am Abra Barbia. Now, women from National Parliament, as well as women from all over the country from various walks of life, will be descending upon the Convention Centre over the next 2 days, where they'll be debating various issues affecting women in this country.
Now, we've lined up a number of people who are attending this conference to speak to us about what this Parliament aims to achieve. But before we get to that, we want to include women that are not at this conference, women that are in other parts of the country.
Like women in the Eastern Cape. And these women say that the days where they had to wait for their husbands and partners to go out to find work, to look after the family, those days are now gone. With a high unemployment rate, these women are finding that they have to go out themselves to try to keep the families afloat.
But you know, Abra, the difficult thing is that for women that don't have the right education, the necessary skills, getting through life is a bit difficult. Now, our colleague Zimkita Maqingwane in the Eastern Cape spent some time with a woman who's trying to get through life under very difficult circumstances at Port St. John's in the Eastern Cape. Let's take a look at that.
This is Snooker Falls, where many people come for spiritual healing. Shacks have mushroomed with people who sell containers and become Snooker Falls tour guides. Nomthandazo Ndlela is one of the women staying in these shacks in the bushes here. She, her unemployed husband, and 10 children survive by selling containers to visitors. The visitors fill them with water from the falls, which are reputed to have a healing property. These people who come here are our only source of income. Life is tough here because when it rains, the plastics on the shacks have water leaks. A good Samaritan touched by their living conditions has somehow eased their family's hardships.
I saw this family while I was visited the area of Sinuka. What made me sad is to see this mother struggling to provide for her 10 children. I am not working, but something said to myself, let me try to help her. She is a woman. I believed she needed another woman who understands her problem. I took 2 kids from her 10 children and I am helping her with taking them to school and providing proper shelter to them.
Ndlela was born and grew up at Majola village near Port St. John's. She fled the area during faction fights in the early 90s. As the country commemorates Women's Month, she is not aware what the month is about, nor is she aware about human rights. And because their father was in the cities working for them, they had no alternative but to flee the area. I don't know what human rights are. I have heard about them, but because I am illiterate, I don't know much. Another thing is that when you are poor, you get scared to ask people for help because when you ask them, they take you funny and they want you to bribe them. The conditions the 10 children live under are harsh. When it is winter time, my children cry every day because it gets very cold. But I always tell them that God will one day make a plan. They must just hang in there.
What made her situation worse is that she could not even benefit from government grant because 4 kids had not have birth certificates. These kids do not have birth certificates because they were born in this shack.
Even though Nomalunga Fihla has somehow taken their family's hardships, the family is still trapped in poverty. She is lobbying for more people for help.
The help I have given to this family is not enough, and I will be very happy if other people could come forward and help. This family is struggling. I'm asking people to help them. It is not easy for her to raise 10 children, plus grandchildren, and they are not working. These children could not go to school because the schools are far and their parents cannot afford to pay transport money. Please help her.
As the country commemorates Women's Month, more women like Nomthandazo are still waiting for programs aimed at improving their living conditions. Zimkita Maqingwane, SABC News, Eastern Cape.
Welcome back. We thank Zimkita Maqingwane and Redi Gai for putting that insert together for us from Tata in the Eastern Cape. We're live at the Cape Town International Convention Centre, the venue for this year's Women's Parliament. Now, a number of people would say, why have a specific Women's Parliament when we already have a Parliament that sits throughout the year? Well, we've invited the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Noma India Mfeketo, and the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Ms. Tandi Memela, to talk to us about why we're here today. Good morning, ladies, and welcome. Good morning. Deputy Speaker,
if you are running
you're
over,
a woman,
I might have to lift up my hand just to give an
and
indication.
a number of women represent women in Parliament. Why have a
question I'm going to be
Women's
asking
Parliament?
You is Women's Parliament a useful instrument to improve women and gender issues in the country? And are the costs justified?
And this celebration really reminds us of
a question to you specifically, Chair, is what does government hope to achieve with the proposed Women Empowerment and Gender Equality Draft Bill? And then the last question will be the biggest challenge facing women in this country. Are you comfortable with that?
Just as we do with the youth and other
I'll let you know, somebody will call you when it's our turn, but you're going to have to get mic'd up as well.
This month, end of this month, 30th, 31st, we're really focusing on what is it that we can improve to what has already been done in the last 18 years.
Ms. Memela, let me bring you in here. Some would say that this Women's Parliament is just a talk shop. Women come, talk, and go back home. What can you count as achievements that have come from previous Women's Parliament?
That is not a fact. And I'm talking now as a person wearing the National Council of Provinces hat. We are responsible to deal with the different provinces. We are responsible for oversight in whatever field that we venture into. Now, it is very important that whatever transpires here today is going to be dealt with in depth, and at the same time people are going to be finished with the report. They take it back, they also discuss it at different levels in their different provinces and even rural areas, which is actually where we are focusing most. And as NCOP, jointly with the committees of the ANA, we will then be going around to ensure that the objectives are met.
Deputy Speaker, can you give us an idea on issues that have been dealt with, whether it's the last Parliament or the previous one?
You're going to bring that one up?
Well, there are many issues that have been dealt with, and we can proudly pronounce were a success. The last few Women's Parliaments, since especially now with the 4th Parliament, we've discussed the question of Ukutwala, if you remember. We brought people from all provinces, including those who were affected directly. The very last Women's Parliament, 2010, we had traditional leaders coming to the Women's Parliament and openly apologizing, saying, you've raised because we attended your Women's Parliament, because you came to us and told how harmful what we're doing.
Are my guests going to be mic'd up, or are they going to get the...
We created that consciousness, which is part of the importance of these days, these 2 days. You create consciousness about issues that are happening to women, but also you're empowering women just by being here.
Give us an idea of what some of the key issues that are going to be discussed this year.
We're discussing 3 topics this year. The traditional court bill, I'm sure you know about it. And there, we want women to pronounce themselves. What are the implications? So as lawmakers, we can have a united voice of women. We're discussing the question of gender parity bill, where we're saying politically there's good representation, but when it comes
maybe in
to
South Africa we can be more focused.
The third one is
than people elsewhere have been able to do.
And which, is empowerment.
And I think
empowering women economically is the most important aspect.
I think
we have a very
it's
packed
relatively easy to
program for
manage IT
today.
and
We're
manage
still going to
costs.
talk to other
What's
ladies who
more
are members of
difficult
Parliament.
always
Ladies,
is
I'm
to
going to
justify
have
the
to
role
thank
of
you
IT
very much for joining
in
us
terms of
and wish you
generating
all the
revenue.
best with today and
So, for
tomorrow's
example, I remember
deliberations.
working with the
Now we're going to go
CEO
to an ad break shortly. When we
Hotel
come back
business
from
in
that,
Africa,
we'll
was
take a
telling
look
me-
at
I was
the
helping-
women of Marikana and how they've been impacted by what happened there 2 weeks ago. We'll also talk to female MPs from other political parties. Don't go away.